Minnesota Vikings defensive playbook. We'll be taking a look at the nickel 3-3 odd formation. This formation is probably one of the best ways to blitz in the game right now. This formation is going to give you a ton of versatility from your pressure, but it's also going to be a good defense, in my opinion, because it's going to do a really good job of giving you a kind of symmetrical defense that you can base out of. The other cool part about this defense is you can run more of a zone-based defensive scheme, which I'm a huge fan of. Right now in the game, it's really more of a man-to-man coverage heavy meta, and this is going to give you the capability to be able to play some zone. Now, if you enjoy this breakdown, I would encourage you to check out our school community. I have a ton more of in-depth setups, blitzes, coverage adjustments, lockdown setups for you to learn in there. It's only $10 to be a member. It gets you access to everything, all of our offensive, defensive ebooks for both Madden and for college football. So if you want to sign up, that link is going to be in the description down below. Go ahead and talk about 3-3 odd a little bit. First and foremost, let's talk about coach adjustments. So coach adjustments for nickel 3-3 odd. You want to make sure that you have auto flip off, defensive motion response disabled, option read key. You want to put this on conservative, option pitch key. You want to put this on aggressive, RPO read key and pass key. We are going to put this on conservative. As far as zone drops for this defense, I don't really feel like you need zone drops in this game. And we actually don't really need our safety depth changed because we are going to be using a show blitz alignment within the formation. Now, because of this show blitz alignment, it's going to bring our safeties into the box. If you wanted to put the width on pinch, you could. That will pinch them in still a little bit, but I'm going to leave it on default. Now, if we come into the 3-3-5 odd formation itself, one of the most important things we can do is in the packages menu here, as you see the play call menu, we're going to select this specific package. It's going to be this defensive end swap package. What this is going to do is it's going to fix the adjustments in the formation so that you can put your outside guy in linebacker adjustments as opposed to defensive line adjustments. From there, it's really important for you to go through and make sure that you sub in the players that you want in each individual position. Like that, my fastest pass rusher at this outside linebacker position here. And then, really from there, you just want speed, man. Speed is so important in this game. Defensively, you really want to prioritize having, the fastest players possible. Right now, it's just so important for blitzes and things like that. So speed is still king, in my opinion, especially defensively. So anyways, I got safeties in at that sub linebacker spot, and we're ready to rock. Now, the way that I like to run this defense in particular is I pretty much like to, for the most part, stay in either hot blitz bail or hot blitz. You can run other stuff, and we'll show you some other stuff, but I really like the hot blitz alignment, specifically this hot blitz 3. I really like this play because it's going to align really, really well. You're going to be set up for success from an alignment perspective, and I think that's a super important deal when we're talking about this defense. So we're going to come out in hot blitz 3. I'm going to show you the pressures and different things like that. As you can see, our slot corner is going to stay exactly like he is on the screen because we are in a auto flip off defense. Now, the best thing you can do in this defense, in my opinion, is go ahead and show blitz. As you see, when you show blitz, it brings these guys on the outside, these safeties come into the box in a really nice spot there. If you want to, you can individually back off people on the outside if you wanted those guys to be backed off. But really the core of the defense, honestly, is just in this simple pressure right here. You're going to be able to get pretty consistent pressure here, sending 5. So what you're going to do is you're going to zone out this linebacker on the right side, and you're just going to send 5. So you see this is what it looks like right here. And generally speaking, we're going to be able to get quick pressure off of the edge from that slot corner. Now, the other cool part about this, I'm going to show you kind of an advanced little tip with the defense that is kind of fun to know. If you show blitz your defense and reset your linebackers, what it does is it brings these two linebackers out of the A gaps. And what this is good for is if you want to get a little bit better of a chance of setting that same exact blitz, but now getting the A gap pressure, you see that you can get that. Now, in my personal opinion, the most important thing to remember when running this defense is to make sure that you have a good blitz for not only base protection, but for empty protection as well. In my opinion, empty protection is probably one of the better ways to block most of the ways that people want to send pressure in this game. And so most of these blitzes are going to be shown against empty protection. If it comes in against empty, pretty much generally speaking, it's going to come in against base unless it is a loop blitz, which we'll cover that when we show that. So anyways, as you can see here, really just the basic thing is to send 5 and for it to look something like this. If you move your linebacker here a little bit more, you'll see that we're going to get clean pressure when they send 5 out. In this game right now, it's really hard to get clean pressure when they send 5 out, especially if you only want to send 4. But with this formation, this defense, you're going to be able to do that. So again, we're going to show blitz. And then what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you a send 4. So the way that you would send 4 in this year's game is you would basically want to take this backside defensive end and you can put him in whatever adjustment that you want. For example, if we want to put him in a vertical hook, we can certainly do that. And so as you see here, I'm able to put a little bit more coverage on the field, and I'm still only sending 4 people. I have that flat out there in case they roll out. But what you see is we're going to get that clean edge pressure every single time. Now, quick disclaimer, something you need to know is if they block a running back, this is not going to work. Very, very important to understand that. So you'll see, we run this defense. If they block a running back, a lot of times the blitz is going to come in. Okay, that's just the way it is in this game. Blocked running back it's hard to get blitzes in consistently against a blocked running back in this game. So you just need to realize that and understand the type of game you're playing is more of a coverage game, and that just is what it is, right? Now, there are obviously, if they block the running back on the left side, we could try to send this linebacker and send 6 and see if we can get some pressure this way. Sometimes that can work. Sometimes it doesn't work. It's just kind of a little bit of dependent upon how they want to set up their protection. So the biggest thing is we can force them to have to block a running back by sending, a 4-man blitz where somebody actually is going to come free, which I think is super important. So you see, send 4, we get somebody to come in free, and we're playing good coverage behind the defense. Now, the next way that we like to run this formation is through sending pressure off of the right side. So the best way to send pressure off of the right side here would be to basically do it like this. So essentially we're just going to blitz this linebacker on the right side. Now what's really important here is when you do this, you need to put your user in a zone and you need to slant your defensive line to the left. The reason this is important is it's going to change the blitz angle that middle linebacker is on. And as you see, whenever we do that, we're going to get that edge pressure there on the right side. Now, another way that you could basically accomplish the same thing is through using the Tampa 2 or really any of these plays, for example, and you can just blitz this guy, and now you'll see that it's going to keep everything as you want it. The only issue with this is I noticed that in this formation, sometimes this slot corner kind of has a mind of his own, and he'll just kind of go places when you're not in hot blitz. That's why I would just prefer to do everything out of the hot blitz 3, and you'll see here that if we do something like this and we slant this way and blitz these linebackers, we're going to still get that nice send 5. Another thing you could do here is you could contain. Just make sure your user is in a zone. If your user is not in a zone, then the blitz angle will not work properly. Okay, so just quickly wanted to point that out. Another thing that you can do, kind of like before, is you can show blitz. You can reset the linebackers, and then you just go ahead and send it like this as well. As you see, this creates that A-gap blitz angle that is really, really effective, and it's really good for sending pressure. So as you see here, they block the edge pressure, but now the A-gap pressure is going to be coming in consistently. So again, I'm showing blitz. I reset the linebackers. I globally blitz the linebackers. If you want to QB contain, then put your user in a zone. It's important to wait to put your user into a zone until after you QB contain, and then make sure that you're slanting the line to the left side so that blitz angle is going directly down. The other thing with this is if you want to drop this defensive end into coverage, you can do that and just send 4. And a lot of times you're still going to get really, really nice pressure when they send 5 out. So those are a couple different ways in which to get pressure out of 3-5 odd. Now I want to go over kind of a cool little pass protection hovering technique. So if you take a look here, I'm going to go to base protection. This is a protection you will still see. And as you can see with base protection, you're a little bit more likely to give up this edge looper pressure. So if you just spread your defensive line and kind of hover a little bit over the guard here, sometimes what you can do is you can actually get this linebacker to come in clean off of the edge, as you can see right there. Now, in my opinion, this works best if the formation, the offensive formation is flipped. So, for example, like if they're in a trips type set, they don't have the tight end over the linebacker. So as you see here, the tight end is now on the slot corner side. Nothing really changed for us, right? We're still in our show blitz alignment. But if you take a look here, by holding L1, you can kind of see that that guard is going to block my user, right, when he's hovering down here in the A gap like this. So all I'm going to do is just take a step down into the inside. And as you can see, if they send 5 out, I'm able to get that edge pressure right there. What that allows me to do from a defensive perspective is now I'm able to do a lot more in terms of like sending 2, sending 3. Sending 2 and sending 3 in this game is really effective if used properly. And I think 3-3 odd allows you to do this in a really effective way. So the way that I like to send 2 is we're basically going to have this kind of mugged look like this. Remember, we can at any point send 5, send 6, right? That's why it's important to have a defense where you make every single thing look identical. When you can make every defense look identical, in my opinion, that is super, super important for playing good defense. So what you're going to do now is you're going to zone both these linebackers. You're going to zone this defensive end. You can put him in whatever you want him to be in. What I normally will do is spy him, and then we could actually play, a defense that looks like this. So we have a lot of coverage on the field, right? We have a ton of coverage on the field. If we wanted to, we could also do like a curl flat, a hard flat, and still send 2. And you see how we have so much coverage, okay? But what I want to show you is the pass protection logic. As you see, if I run down with my user, then they are going to be forced to kind of commit to that. And occasionally that linebacker can come in free. Now, it's a lot better. It's significantly better, in my opinion, if your opponent is in base protection. The reason being is because in base protection, they're going to block the middle a little bit better than they would in empty protection. Empty protection is a little bit better for edge pressure, base protection a little better for A gap. So you'll see here that I'm in base protection, and watch how if I move a little bit to the inside, you see how the guard is still targeting my user. So at the snap of the ball, you see how that guard kind of takes a step down, and we could potentially get that send 2 in completely free. Now, the best way to get the send 2 in completely free is to send 3. We can do the same exact principle. Everything that I told you was the same. The only difference is now we're actually going to send 3 and send the defensive tackle. Okay, so you'll see here from sending the defensive tackle, we're still going to be able to put a lot of coverage out on the field. We're just not going to be able to put that defensive tackle. So you'll see here that this send 3 is really good because, as you see, the defensive end is looping really, really well. So it's a great way to play defense. Now, what's really important is to understand the different tools. Whoops, I did not mean to flip my defense. What's really important is to understand the different tools the offense will employ. One of the tools that the offense will use is they will begin to slide. Whether it's a full slide or half slide, they will begin to slide protect to the side of the formation that has this linebacker on it. So it'll be like, for example, slide protecting to the right, for example. So what I like to do in those situations is, again, this is why it's important, again, to have a defense where everything looks the same. So by having everything look the same, this looks exactly like my 3-man pressure. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a 3-man in a different direction. So you'll see here, we're going to just drop this linebacker into a curl flat. And as you see, we have a lot of coverage now to the short side. And so when they do this half slide, you're going to see here that the slot corner now has a chance to be able to come in. Now, it'll come in completely free if we send the linebacker. It will sometimes come in if you don't. So let me show that one more time. Again, I'm going to half slide, and you're going to see here, show blitz your entire team, drop your guys out into coverage. But now we're just going to, instead of sending 3, we're actually going to go ahead and send 4. The send 4 is going to make it significantly more consistent, but it's always nice to be able to not have to send everybody. But anywho, if they are sliding, you see here, this is very clean pressure. He's pushing the pocket. It's going to be hard. They're going to have to roll away from that. And that's one of the reasons why I think, 3-3 odd, nickel 3-3 odd is such a good defense because it can do things like that. Another really fun way to blitz is if you're ever half sliding you like that or anything like that, what you can also do is just send 5 like this, for example. this send 5 is really good because really whichever side they half slide to, they're going to be in trouble. So you see here, half slide to the right. I don't know what happened there on the left side. You might need to spread your D line. One thing that is nice about this, because for the most part, we're going to make everything look the same, is if you do something like spread your D line, like it's not crazy. Like you would have to really be looking for things like that. Like you can kind of mix that in a little bit. And, you know, again, if they half slide out, then you're kind of getting good quality edge pressure from really both sides. That is going to make it where it's hard to half slide. In general, this formation is going to be hard to slide protect, and the main reason being because of the fact that we have these threats of being able to send 4 on either side and get really, really good pressure. Now, another thing you can do is you can slant out, like slant your D-line out like this. We'll see if this can actually pop free on a half slide. I'll actually stand a little bit more to the center here. You see, generally, that guy can come in. I might need to contain. We'll try one more time. See if we can get that edge pressure to come in on a half slide when they contain. Just trying to show you. Again, these are just little things you can do in the course of a game. Once they start to actually adjust to your pressure, it's always important to have like a plan B, right? And so this would be an example of that. This contain, there you see, kind of loops a little wider, but still not honestly giving great pressure. We probably need to send that linebacker just to kind of ensure that that blitz is going to come in. But in general, you know, that makes, I think, another little aspect of the defense that you have access to. Now, again, there's a lot of things that we can do here. Another one that is really unique is to shift your defensive line to a side. Now, what that is going to do is you're going to see here that if you wanted to bring this linebacker and basically have him directly over the center, you could create a kind of a makeshift of a crossfire type of loop, especially if you're willing to send 5. If you're willing to send 5, this would be a little bit more consistent. But what you'll see is a lot of times get that straight down blitz angle, and he's going to be able to get pressure sending 5. The other thing that you could do, remember, I said show blitz, and then you can reset the linebackers. When you reset the linebackers, you can actually create a crossfire blitz by slanting your D-line to the right. And then from there, we can drop these guys into coverage. And what you'll see is this is basically exactly what you would get from like $1. What you want to do when running this is you want to user and kind of run to the outside like this. And you see how that crossfire can be another way, just different ways in which you can send 4 out of this. Now, as far as how do I like to actually defend, you know, quality formations in this game, a couple top tier formations, bunch trips, U-trips, things like that. How do you actually go about defending these formations? What's really nice is this is a zone-based defense. So we can actually just kind of adjust our coverage quickly. So what I like to do is show blitz. My first bunch defense that I like to run is a scissor to the left side. The reason I like to scissor that side over there is primarily because on this right-hand side, I'm going to basically play kind of a cover 3, if you will. The biggest thing is that I have to obviously look for any kind of crosser or post. So what I like to do is man my user up to whoever I think might be on that. And then I'll drop this defensive end into like a zone. So for example, maybe I think it's going to be the slot. So I man my user up to him. If he runs a post, then I'll switch stick off of him. But basically, if I get anything from the bunch side that runs across the field, I need to go guard that myself. But what this does a really good job of is this is going to do a really, really good job of defending these slide routes and things like that. This kind of a combo right here is going to have a tough time because basically all I have to do here is effectively, you know, just user the tight end. So you see here, I'm just going to lurk that tight end. And as you see, we played pretty good defense. That man coverage needs to man cover. But by having the running back manned up and by also having a hard flat, I'm able to defend that slide route. Pressure comes home really quickly against 5 out in this, you know, and as you see, that's one way in which I will defend bunch. Now, another way that I like to defend bunch, and I think you need this way, is to get a little bit more coverage to the solo wide receiver side. This would be really good, specifically if they're running any kind of like spacing switch or smash return type of combo. So, for example, we get something like this where you have the in route, the super deep in route here. What I would do is essentially blitz the right side. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to blitz this guy here. We're going to then user over in this area of the field, and we're going to have a curl flat. We're going to have a cover two to the backside, and then we're going to have this little like vertical hook kind of popping over the middle like so. And this is another shell that I really like for a bunch. Make sure that you slant that defensive line to the left side, as you see there. If I don't do that, that changes the blitz angle. You need that slant. That's really important. And then as you'll see here, I'm able to defend, smash return relatively well, with all those resources. Another way that I like to defend the same type of concept, you'll notice that against these bunch type formations, one of the main windows that top level players want to exploit is they want to exploit that little return route on the bunch side, that little yellow zone area of the field. And so what I'll do to kind of like take that away is I will still utilize a curl flat, but effectively or essentially what I'm going to do here is I'm going to utilize a cover two here to the right side. So I have that vertical hook. Make sure you shade that vert hook down, and then you're going to have basically a cover two over there. And then on this back side of the formation, what I would recommend is, this would be an example where we might actually just play a little bit more of a coverage. But essentially, I love the Tom stunt. The left Tom two-man stunt here will contain out of this, and then you'll just have a ton of support in terms of, how this would look something like this. And what you'll see is this is going to do a really good job of defending smash return. And you see how that defensive tackle can just do a really good job, right, of getting pressure against bunch-based formations like that. So that's another one. Another very popular formation in this game is the Y-off trio close with this play action play. What's nice about this is the play action blocking is really good in this game. And so what people will do is they'll kind of think that they have it a little bit better than they do, and they might run like a combo like this or something. And the way that I would defend this is, again, just simple show blitz here. And in this case, we're going to still send that pressure off that left side. We're going to play probably, some type of cover three with maybe this guy on a flat or something like that. Maybe do like a send five like this. But effectively what we're able to do with this setup here is we're going to do a good job of defending the running back. One of my favorite things to do against a formation like this is drop the defensive end in a vert hook, shade underneath, man the linebacker up to the running back like this. And then I can even take my user over backside and put him on a flat. So what you'll see here is, I'm able to play really, really good defense and have quick pressure. You see how fast that pressure came in against play action blocking, which a lot of people really like blocking from play action to block a lot of blitzes in this game, but it does not really do a whole lot in terms of being able to pick up this type of pressure. If it was a concept like this where we're going to get like a running back wheel, maybe get like a little return route, I think this is another popular type of setup. What I would do is on this back end, this is where I love to have the cover to this right hand side. The reason being is because this kind of cover three cloud, cover two type look here is just going to do a really good job. And then from there, right, we could just send pressure, which I'll show that here. So we'll flat this guy, and then we'll have this little vert hook here. And then on the back side, we'll take our user, put him in a hook curl, and then get that side. Again, make sure you slant the D line. For some reason, that slant is kind of dumbing out here. Reset the linebackers. And that could be just a Y-off trio close alignment issue. Probably is. We'll just re-show blitz them. Let's get this guy down there. Okay, he's not going to go down there. Awesome. But anyways, if we need to, we can just do something like this. But in general, what's nice about this is your, vert hook will do a really good job. And then you can even like man up the tight end. If he goes on a drag, that'll do decent. And then you got the little flat zone over here if you wanted to put that guy over there. But anyway, you see there, you're going to get good pressure. You're going to do a good job at covering the majority of what they're going to be able to put on that field. A couple other things that I'd like to do against meta-based formations. couple other meta formations that you're going to see. One of them is this audible right here, 2 trips tight end. I want you to also notice that because we're kind of basing out of the same defense for the most part, like it's going to align relatively well. You know, you might get something like a little return route. I don't know, like something like this. You could get this combo or something. But in general, we're still in a good position to handle this. So what I like to do against trips tight end is it's honestly a little too tempting to me to blitz off this tight end side. But basically, if you take this guy on the right, you have a curl flat here. You have a, what I would do is an outside quarter, and then I would do a middle third, and then I would do a deep half and a cloud. And the reason I like to do that is because what I'll also do here is I'll normally move this guy a little bit this direction. And then the other thing is I will actually man up the tight end across the middle of the field, planning obviously to switch stick off of my user onto this. And I just feel like, yes, I know there's a big void on that left side, but the basic act of me going right to here, you see, I can just cut everything that comes across the field and be in a decent, favorable position against trips tight end. Another thing that I'll do against that audible 2 trips tight end is you have to realize that one of the best things that they can do from trips is throw this running back slide route because he gets into a soft spot against the defense. So what I'll do is I'll have a curl flat, I'll have an outside third, I'll have a middle third, or an inside quarter and a middle third. I'll play cover 2 to the right side, and I'll actually blitz this guy like so and get this guy into coverage. So what this allows me to do is it allows me to put a little bit more coverage now to the trip side of the field, and then allows me to, if I wanted to, still crossman that tight end. I love the crossman of the tight end adjustment because if the tight end runs a post, right, I can just pass that off and then I can switch stick down, and you just see, I mean, how really great of a job it's going to do. And then if the tight end runs like a streak or something, then I'm free to use my user over the middle of the field to be able to defend any of the things they might want to do in that regard. The other thing that I'm pretty confident we're going to do a really good job of in this formation is we're going to do a really good job against bunch tight end. The reason being is because bunch tight end is basically just a compressed version of trips tight end. So what I like to do against bunch tight end, I think it's a little easier to defend than trips tight end. And the main reason is because of the fact that we don't really have to worry too much about this tight end side. So what I like to do here is throw a lot of zones like this, and then on the back end we can go with an outside third cloud. Or the other thing we could do here is we could use some cross-manning principles, things like that. Like we don't really necessarily need this outside third here, but the outside third is really helpful for like a crosser. And then what I would do is get your user on a hook curl to that side, and you'll be able to kind of switch stick around from there. Most of the route combos in bunch tight end are going to basically be, you know, similar to bunch, of course, and you're going to have to deal with that little zig route or return route, which is probably honestly one of the best routes that they can do from this. Let me show you the actual combo you might see. But what you might see is you might get something that looks like this right here, right? Essentially a smash return. So again, the way that I like to defend this is we're going to send pressure off of this tight end side. It's going to do a little bit better of a job than you might think. And we're going to go ahead. Let me see, why are we messing our pressure up? Okay. I don't know why this blitz angle is like not setting properly. But anyways, even if we don't want to blitz trips, like I still think there's some use for like, you know, just sending, you know, just send 4 like this. But what this is going to do is you play a little inside quarter cloud flat right there. You're going to do a pretty good job of defending a lot of things they want to go to in this formation, right? You're going to be, you know, a really good spot to handle some of the mainstay route combinations that they might do from a bunch tight end. One other thing I was going to show here real quick. Let's see if we can actually get the splits angle to be proper here. I don't know why it's resetting, unfortunately. But another thing that you could do against bunch tight end is you can send, you know, just send 4 like this. And again, the way that I like to send 4 is from this formation. If they're ever running base protection, it's going to be really good. So like if they're not running that empty stuff, If they're running base protection, this is a really good blitz. It can come in sometimes if they're running empty as well, but it's basically just running a defense like this. I know this looks a little bit simple, but it's very, very good. Just a simple, kind of like cover three buzz almost, with a deep half here to the right side, or just actually running a deep half or running a middle third. This middle third is much better than you would think. And the reason why is because there's not really a great route for that tight end to be on that's going to threaten that side. You just have to cut the crosser. But essentially here, if they run a combo like this, you're going to get that good pressure, and then you're able to kind of lurk down underneath and play pretty good defense overall against anything that they might want to do out of a bunch tight end set. The other thing that's really nice is that because of this show blitz alignment that we are in when they go to bunch tight end, your safety is a little wider. One of the best tips is to move this guy out here just like this, put this guy on a hard flat, and you're going to have a lot of success against any kind of RPO or anything like that. And you're still able to send, a lot of pressure here off of the right side. So you just have a lot of answers, in my opinion, against bunch tight end. Dropping this guy in a little vert hook here makes a lot of sense. Using this trip side. And then obviously, as you see, we're going to play decent defense regardless of what they end up deciding to call offensively. Now, I get a lot of questions about this, and this is something that I did want to just put in this little guide here, and that is this idea of defending any kind of like 5 wide type formation. The best thing about 3-3 odd is that you have this hot blitz 3 base, and so because of that, the only person that really needs to move is your user, but as you see, he comes into the gap like this. What I like to do against 5 wide, and this is I really like to blitz 5 wide. I think that's the easiest way to deal with 5 wide is ultimately to blitz 5 wide because they're going to struggle to block you because they're sending 5 out on a route every single time. So what we're going to do here is we're going to blitz this defense or this offense. And so what I like to do is man up basically everybody, do something like this, a little fairly aggressive defense. But what we're basically accomplishing here is, we'll have a hard flat here. So we have a lot of coverage to the right side. We have these 2 outside thirds to take away those routes. And then basically we have the middle of the field, right? The pressure is going to come in, but we're going to take the middle and we're going to play really good defense. Now, if you want a little bit more passive defense than what I just showed you, what I would do is essentially run cover 2 to one side and cover 3 to the other side. So the best way to do that would be to utilize a curl flat on this right-hand side, a cover 2 here on the left-hand side, and then I would drop this defensive end into like essentially a quarterback spy or something over the short middle. And basically at the snap of the ball, you need to kind of get depth, but you're going to basically be playing the crosser. And you see there, that's okay defense that you could have for this formation. Another great way to defend 5 wide is to send pressure opposite of the nickel corner. So if I wanted to do that, for example, we might do something like this where we're only going to send 4 this time. This send 4 is actually not terrible at all. Again, just because your user can cause this to be able to be a free runner. As you see right there, you see that send 4 came in. So what I'll do if I want to send 4 like that is I would actually run a seam flat on the left. I'll do a middle third to the safety. And then to this, basically to this trip side here, I'm going to play kind of a cover 2 style coverage like this. I might even cross man a little bit. Now, the big vulnerability is obviously the seam streak to the right side. It's not as open as you might think, and you're going to get this really, really incredible pressure. You see how that hook curl has some matching principles. The seam flat has some matching principles within it that I think make it a pretty decent way to play defense. Another way to basically do kind of the same type of thing would be to take this linebacker. When you move him, he will actually stay where you move him because of the package, and then putting him on the seam flat. So you have a seam flat, you have an outside third, you're going to inside quarter this guy. So basically the trip side is going to be matched. And then on this left-hand side, what I would do is another seam flat, and I would have a middle third to kind of help keep things over the top. And then if you wanted to, you could do your basic kind of crossfire type of look here, just situational defense, but it is actually pretty good. As long as you get some semblance of pressure, everything's going to be matched well over the top. So that's another defense that I love against five wide. The biggest thing with five wide is being able to take away at least one of the seams with a defender, and then, basically using the other one. So even another example of a good five wide defense to me would basically be something like this. Right here, we're going to have a hard flat from this D end, put my user on a hook, and then we're going to have this blitzer here on the right side. So you see we send the pressure, and then we're able to kind of lurk a lot over the middle of this defense. So those are some of the answers that I would have against five wide. One other one that I wanted to share with you that's going to do just a little bit better of a job, and this is if you're facing a lot of seam streaks, that would be to utilize the hot blitz bail. And the reason why it's really good is because what you're going to see here is you're going to get that nice hot blitz alignment, but it's going to send pressure off of that other side. And so now what I'm able to do with my defense here is, I can even, like, if I wanted to, I could even cross man this safety, but I could also do just that basic cover two like this. But again, my user, I'm going to be running out of the middle here, and we're going to be getting him into coverage. So just running out of the middle, you get clean pressure, and you see how this is another way, another method by which we're able to play pretty good defense against five wide. Another little thing that you could do is kind of move these safeties just a little bit to get them in a little bit better position. But if you're defending five wide, these are some of the very basic answers that I feel like make a lot of sense with how simple the pressure is and how effective the pressure is. It really does give you another tool in your tool bag for playing defense in Madden 26. I hope that you enjoyed this breakdown. If you want to learn more about defense or just take your game to the next level, join our school community today. For just $10, you're going to get access to all of my offensive and defensive ebooks for both Madden and for college football to help you win more games. You literally get everything that I know for just $10, and I guarantee you it will take your game to the next level.